right. So I think we're expecting maybe one more person and then somebody else couldn't attend. So we're just going to go ahead and get started, and then you can all have this resource for after we have done the class so that you can have it to refer back to if you want, or, you know, anything else. And if you have any questions you want to ask before we kick things off, please feel free to come off mute, or you can tap it, chat into the chat box. I hope everybody had a good time with their brioche from last class, and that you didn't encounter any issues at all, and you've just been having fun with it. Today, we're going to be upping it a little bit with doing the intermediate level, which in this case is going to be learning a increase, bark yarn over bark, and a decrease, which we are going to the left slanted one, which is the one that's a little easier to do. And in the directions for the pre-class email that I sent, I also included a video that I had done for another setup that is available and published on YouTube to our page, that was for the brioche right leaning decrease, which you work it slightly different, right? It was like you slipped one and then you knit the next one and then you kind of slip back over and then slip the other one. That one's a little more complicated. The one we're going to do tonight is the left one, which is a little bit more like knitting two together and kind of slipping something over. So it's a little easier for beginning on. So today we've got our pattern, which is very extensive, but it should hopefully guide you through doing several rows of increases and decreases to achieve kind of a little leaf-like effect on your fabric. And we also, we're going to be continuing using the bulky yarn, but feel free to adjust this to a yarn that you have on hand for the gauge. It's the same as last week, where when you're working flat, you want to have an uneven number of stitches. So you could do this larger. Just make sure that it's always an odd number that you're casting on. When you're working flat with brioche, you really have to have the odd in order to make the edges work out and to be like every other one with the stitches between the slip one yarn overs and the barking and the burping. If you have an even number, it really just doesn't work. That's only for when you are doing the brioche in the round, which you don't need to have that extra stitch. So yeah, if you're going to be doing this with, or if you'd like to do it with a fingering weight or something, you know, you can definitely adjust for the size of the yarn that you're using. Just make sure that you consistently cast on an odd number of stitches. This also pattern could repeat. Instead of casting off, you could kind of double back, you know, like, and just repeat it over and over again. Similar to the beginner one that we did last time, you could just keep extending that, you know, until you were ready to cast off and then do the last couple rows. So I wanted to show you this pattern. I alluded to it in the preview video, that I was working on a Stephen West pattern for, you know, my own enjoyment. And it's a little different, a little crazy to see, but in here, these blue swatches, these little dark blue pieces, those are the 16 count increase that they were doing, which is like our bark yarn over bark, but instead of making a couple stitches, you end up making 16. So you can see it's kind of like an extreme amount that you're increasing. And then on the sides, you're actually, there's kind of some brioche rows that go a little bit straight up and down. You can see that it doesn't quite match what's going on here. Those were used, the shaping was used on one side, it was like a right leaning slant decrease, and on the other side, it was a left leaning slant decrease. So they kind of like pointed inwards to some shaping. So this is what I'm currently working on for myself. And the other thing I wanted to note is last week we were careful to always do a consistent set of rows, right? It was always knit, purl, purl, knit, right? This one actually changes things up randomly. So at the first time I went through a few rows, I had to tear it out a couple times because I was doubting what I was reading, because I thought, no, that's not possible. But you can see how there's a lot of notations that I've made here. So in this case, since it reverses a little bit, so I finally just noted on the side of my instructions which one was a knit row, purl, purl, knit. And then this one where it reversed it was like purl, knit, knit, purl. So you might want to do that as you're learning more complex patterns. I just wanted to bring that up as an option that you can do. So let's go ahead and look this over. We kind of gave it a little bit of a preview in the video, but basically we are going to be doing several pages of brioching. And I had circled where there were increases and decreases. And here I made a little note for myself. I was like, did I count that up right? And I realized the important part here is that we're repeating this sequence here twice. So I had made some shortcuts in the pattern as you do so that you're not completely like overwhelmed with how many directions you have to do. But that made me question, where'd my next couple stitches go? That is where. So if you wanted to do something like I was doing on mine with calling out exactly what kind of stitch row you're doing, like, so this one is a purl. This one's a knit. This one's going to be a knit. This one's a purl. This one's a purl and a knit. And we keep going, knit, purl, purl, knit. And, you know, that kind of gets us our reminder of what are we going to do all the way across of the row, so that we're kind of getting ourselves ready for where the yarn should be in our hands. You know, at the when we're ready to start the row, it should hopefully be where you want it to be because we've dropped it in the appropriate place on the row before it. And same thing over here. Now we are doing our, you'll notice a pattern. We are doing our increases and decreases on certain sets of rows, right? So it's not on every one. These are more building up the rows until we get to the next action. So otherwise, if we were doing it on each one, we would never see a pattern forming. So we have to build up height a little bit before we do our next one. So how this is going to start is we're going to increase first on row, main color row 1. And then we're going to spend some time building up. And then when we get to main color row 5, we're going to do both decreases and increases. And then we're going to spend some more time building up. And then main color row 9, we're going to do the same thing, only we're going to do it in slightly different places, right? Because we're alternating where we're doing our leaf situation. And then we're building up again. And then this one, we're going to do a lot of the magic of the decrease happening with our bind off. So bear with me. It should work. I've done it a few times just to be sure. And hopefully this will be easy for you guys. So any questions before we start off? I've already cast on my 11 stitches fairly loosely. And my goal for the class, if possible, is to get to at least row 5 today, like through there, because then you'll have both the experience of doing the increases and the decreases. If we make it farther, that's great, you know, but please feel free to stop at any time to ask any questions. Just go ahead and unmute, and we can pause if we need to, because we've all done now the beginner class. So we should be kind of comfortable with those levels of the brioching. And this pattern starts off very similar to the last one, so it should be familiar too. It's only where we're going to have those increases and decreases that we're really doing something kind of new. All right. No questions? Okay. All right, here we go. We're going to do this thing. All right, I'm gonna move my pattern off to the side so you can focus on my hands. I've got this little thing I can do to prop it up for myself. I want to make sure I can actually see it before we get started. Okay, so I've cast on my stitches. This time I'm going to work with the pink being my main color. I thought it might stand out a little bit better. Talked about how color choice, you know, if you've got something that stands out a little bit more, maybe you want to have that as your feature side instead of the reverse, as this is a little bit more subtle. So I've chosen the pink for my main color, cast on my stitches, and now I'm going to do my setup row. So the first setup row, let's see if I can keep all my yarn balls tidy here, is going to be purl row. And I'm going to purl one, which is not part of our normal brioche stitches. And then I'm going to go into the brioche with the slip one yarn over and then purl one to start setting these up so that we can start doing brioching. To brioche is the verb, right? All right, so my first one, we're going to do a purl. All right, and then I'm going to do a slip one yarn over. My yarn's already in the front, so I'm going to slip one yarn over, bring back to the front, purl one, and then I'm going to slip one yarn over, bring yarn to the front, purl one, slip one yarn over, bring to the front, purl one, slip one yarn over, bring to the front, purl one, whoops, there we go, and slip one yarn over, bring to the front, and then we're going to purl our last stitch. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and drop that color. And this is a reminder that just like the last time, this is the only time we're going to be doing single color brioching. Now we're going to incorporate our contrast color, which for me is this gray. There we go. My yarn balls were not tidy. So I'm going to incorporate the gray now. Now I disturbed the camera. And to do that, my yarn, I just finished with it. It's over here to the left of my work. Now I'm going to slide my stitches so I can start from this side and work my way over in the silver. And row, contrast color setup row is going to be a knit row. So I'm going to keep my tail in the back here. I'm going to slip the first one. I'm going to bark or brioche knit the next one. Just going to go ahead and bring my silver in. All right, and then away we go. We're going to bring it to the front, slip one, and then for me, because I carry in the right, the magic already happens. It's going to drape backwards when I go to knit into the brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one, go into a brioche knit, and that yarn over magically drapes over while I do that. Slip, bring yarn to the front, slip one, yarn over happens when I go into brioche knit, bring yarn to the front, slip one, and yarn over happens when I go into the brioche knit. And the last one, I'm just going to slip because we're keeping the main color the same as the cast on the bottom, the edges, and the top. So now I've done both of my contrast color, both of my setup rows, both the main color and the contrast, and I am ready to turn the work. So now I've turned the work and both my active strands of yarn are on my right hand side. We're going to go into the main color first, which is going to be a knit row. And this is when we're going to increase. So here we go. The first stitch is just a regular knit one. And now we're going to do the bark yarn over bark. And the way we do that, bring yarn to the front. Oh, I'm so sorry. The directions are knit one, bring yarn to the front. We do a slip one yarn over, and then we can do their bark yarn over bark. And the reason I could tell I got a little lost or jumped the gun there was because you only do your increases in the stitches that have a shawl or the slip one yarn over stitches. So you need to have the 2 strands. That's the one that you work the increase in. And the reason for that is because it's going to create branched out rows where you do the increases. So where you had, like one before, after you do the bark yarn over bark, you have 2 rows that branch out. So if you don't do it on the appropriate row, you're not going to be able to get that pattern. So now that we have the next stitch, we're going to bark yarn over bark in. So we're going to go into it as if we're going to bark. So go ahead and insert the needle. And then we're going to, remember this, we're just draping as we go. So we're going to go in there, wrap the needle around, bring the right needle through, but we're not going to remove it from the stitch. Instead, we're going to take our yarn, do another yarn over, and then we're going to go back into that stitch, yarn over one more time, and then we're going to pull it out. Now at this point, you can double check yourself. If you're doing like the 8, you work in multiples of 4, like if you're doing 4, 6, 8, this is your opportunity to be like, okay, how many strands do I have on here? Do I need to pull out this, and start over again without losing anything? If you are confident you did it right, which I should end up with 3 strands here, my original bark that I would have done if I wasn't increasing, plus a yarn over, plus an additional bark, I have increased by 2 stitches by doing this. I am ready to go ahead and slide this off the left-hand stitch. And now I've done my first 3 in the row. I've got my knit one, slip one yarn over, and then a bark yarn over bark. Next is we're going to bring the yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, and then bark. All right, now we're going to repeat the instructions there from the asterisk, which is bring yarn to the front, slip one, and then we're going to bark yarn over bark in this one. So we're going to insert our needle, going to wrap the yarn around, bring it out once, then wrap again for our yarn over, go back into the stitch, wrap the yarn around one more time for our bark. And now we have, again, 3 stitches. So I'm going to take that off. And then I'm going to bring the yarn to the front, slip one yarn over. I'm going to bark. Okay. So we repeated the 2 sequences twice. Now I'm going to bring the yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, and then knit the last one in the row. Okay. It says drop the main color. It's just going to naturally fall to the back. We do not turn. At this point, we're going to slide. So this is where we set up with the contrast color to go ahead and turn these naked stitches without a shawl to give them a shawl so that we're set up for success for main color row number 2. All right, so using the contrast color, this is going to be a purl row, and my yarn's in the front, so it's where it should be. So we're going to slip one, and that's just not a brioche stitch. Again, we're just slipping or purling or knitting the edges. All right, and then we're going to burp the first one. All right, and now we end up with these naked stitches. So this is why it works well in multiples of odd numbers, because we're going to have to set this up and then keep it going in the same pattern that we had originally, with every other stitch having a shawl. basically. So how we're going to work this first bark yarn over bark is we're going to purl the first one. No, sorry. We are going to we're going to slip the first one with a yarn over. Then we're going to just a straight up purl, no brioche purl, just a straight purl into the one stitch. And then we're going to slip one yarn over. Okay, so that makes it so that we can just brioche purl, slip one yarn over, brioche purl. Okay, and we get to our naked stitches again. And because I just purled, brioche purled, next I want to do a slip one yarn over. And then I'm going to just purl this next one. And then I'm going to do a slip one yarn over, brioche purl, and then a slip one yarn over, brioche purl. And then the last one, I'm just going to slip. Okay. So now when we look at this, we should have every other stitch should be something that has a shawl on it once we get past these outer two. So I've got my border, then I've got single stitch, shawl, single stitch, shawl, single shawl, single shawl, single shawl, single shawl, single, and then the border stitch. So I feel confident that when I turn this, I'll be set up for success. And we're going to go to main color row 2, which is a purl row. And our pink, my main color is already kind of in the front there when I turned it. So this is perfect. Now from main color row 2 through contrast color row 4 on the rest of this page, we're basically just following a normal brioche pattern that we learned last week. So first thing we're going to do is purl the first one because we're building up our edge. Oh, fun little fingers today. Okay. And then first we do a slip one yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl. My yarn's already in the front, so I get to slip one yarn over, brioche purl, 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 slip one yarn over, and then we're going to purl the last one. Okay, now we are going to slide and do our contrast color. And that is going to be a knit row. And so we are slipping the first one, just slipping it purlwise. And then we're going to go into our bark one, bring yarn to the front, then slip one yarn over sequence. All right, so we're going to bark or brioche knit one, bring to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit, bring to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit, bring to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Skip mine, all right. Bring to the front, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit, bring to the front, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit, bring to the front, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit. All right, go ahead and drop that contrast color, and then we're going to slip the last one. Okay, so I'm starting to see my little, a little bit more of where my thing is. So the silver is my contrast color. So this is the back side we're looking at. And before I turn it, I wanted to show how you can see, like, this is just kind of a little cluster. You can see that how it increased here in the back. This is kind of similar to like here, where I'm seeing the increases where there wasn't pink, or there's pink after this, but there wasn't pink before in this particular row. So that's kind of how it looks on this side. And then now that I turn it, I can see on the front side though, I had a pink row and now I've got 2 pink rows branching off of it. So this is coming together. So we're on row 3 main color now, which is my pink. And the first thing we are going to do is a knit 1, bring yarn to the front, slip 1, yarn over brioche, knit, bring yarn to the front, slip 1, yarn over brioche, knit, bring to the front, slip 1, yarn over brioche, knit, bring to the front, slip 1, yarn over brioche, here's the yarn over, go into my knit, yarn over brioche, knit, bring to the front, slip 1, yarn over brioche, knit, bring to the, give me some more pink yarn here, chase my ball around, bring to the front, slip 1, yarn over brioche, knit, bring to the front, slip 1, yarn over. And on this one, we're going to just knit the last one. So my yarn over is going to happen when I go into my regular knit. And then my yarn should kind of fall to the back. That would be my main color yarn. Now I'm going to slide and we're going to work contrast color row number 3. Okay, contrast color row number 3 is a purl row. So bring my yarn, make sure my yarn is in the front, and it is. Get my needles all set up. So I'm going to slip the first one, just keep the color preserved. Then the first thing I'm going to do is a brioche purl. All right, and then I'm going to slip 1, yarn over and bring yarn to the front, brioche purl, slip 1, yarn over and bring yarn back to the front, brioche purl, and slip 1, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, brioche purl, slip 1, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, and then go into your brioche purl. Get more yarn. Slip 1, yarn over, bring to the front, then go into your brioche purl. All right. Slip 1, yarn over, bring to the front, and then go into your brioche purl. And now we get to drop the contrast color and then just go ahead and slip purlwise the last stitch. All right, now we're going to main color row number 4. So we're going to turn it. And we're going to go ahead and work with our pink, my pink yarn, which is my main color. I'm going to pull out some extra yarn though before we start here. Okay. So we're going to work main color row 4, contrast color row 4, and then we're going to get ready for our big row, which we do both increases and decreases in. All right, so main color row 4 is going to be a purl row. So So I'm going to go ahead and get ready to work that. So the first thing I do is a purl. And then I go into my brioche stitches, and the first one is yarn's already at the front. So I'm going to slip one, yarn over and bring yarn back to the front, and then go right into a brioche purl. Slip one, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, brioche purl. Slip one, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, brioche purl. Get all the way out that needle. Okay. Slip one, yarn over, bring yarn back to the front, and then go into a brioche purl. Slip one, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, brioche purl. Slip one, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, brioche purl. Slip one, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, and then purl the last stitch, and then go ahead and let it drop to the front. Okay, now we're going to slide, and we're going to do that contrast color row 4. This is going to be a knit row, and my yarn's in the back, so it's perfectly set up. The first thing we're going to do is slip this first stitch, and that's the main color, so we're not going to change that. Then we're going to go straight into a brioche knit, bring yarn to the front, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit, bring to the front, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit, bring to the front, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit, bring to the front, slip one. The only reason I'm pausing is to make sure I didn't stab through my yarn. Okay, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit, bring to the front, slip one, then yarn over, brioche knit, grab a little bit more yarn, bring to the front, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit, go ahead and drop the yarn to the back, and then slip the last stitch. Okay, so I've created, this is the back side, and I've completed my 4 rows in both main color and contrast color. So when I turn it, we're going to see this. So when we increased, we've got, we started off with 11 when we cast on. Now we should have 15. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14, 15. Good. All right. So where we increased was these two here. Started off as single stitches. We increased by 2. And because we worked it so it's every other, you can see how it branched out. All right. So now what our goal is to pinch these 2 back in together. All right. And we're going to go downward on those. That's part of what we're going to be doing. The other part we're doing is these 2, we're going to be expanding so that they'll have the leaves this time, right? So where we're at in this pattern right now is we're going to try and this way. So we've got our 2 leaves here. We're going to pinch those together, and these 2 we're going to do bark yarn over barks to make them into the next leaves. Is how this looks. Before we get started, if you have any questions or anything, we're kind of working through this fast, let me know. The way that I'm going to change my pattern up here, because I'm going to flip my page. So what we're going to do with it's all going to be on the main color row, and then we'll use the contrast color again to do the setup so that when we go forward with row 6, we'll have all of those strands, you know, covered with their shawls. Nothing will be naked going into the future rounds. So what we're going to do first is do a knit 1, bring yarn to the front, slip 1 yarn over. Then we're going to work the brioche right slant decrease across, wait a minute, no, sorry, it's a left leaning. No, don't mind me. I had both in here originally, so it was a typo. We're going to do the left leaning. It's going to lean to the left, decrease, and we're going to work that across 3 stitches. So we're going to work it across this one, and this one. That's going to bring those pinched in so that we get this kind of like leaf shape at the top. Okay, then we're going to do like a slip 1 yarn over, and then we're going to do a bark yarn over bark in this one and expand it. And then we're going to do another slip 1 yarn over, and then we're going to pinch these together to eliminate the extra stitches we made here. And then this one's going to be the bark yarn over bark as well. Okay, so right now we are at 15 stitches because we're going to eliminate 2 and eliminate 2 and then make 2 and make 2. We're basically canceling everything out. So we should still end up with 15 stitches at the end. And a reminder that you always count your shawl stitch as 1 unit. So even though it has a shawl, it's still just 1 stitch together, if that helps. Okay, here we go. So this is a knit row, and I didn't make my notations on my pattern like I probably should. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. So this is a knit, this is a purl, this is a purl, this is a knit, knit, purl, purl, knit, and then a knit, and then a purl on this side. Okay. Now I feel sufficiently prepared to read this from the side while I guide you on this. All right. Using our main color, we're going to do main color row 5. Our first stitch, we're going to knit. Okay. Then we're going to bring yarn to the front, slip 1 yarn over. Now, when we're going to do this decrease, this is the brioche left slanting decrease. We're going to work it across this stitch, and this stitch. So if this was like an A, a B, and a C, which you'll see written up, I'm still going to have this kind of yarn over. It's going to get completed as I work the next stitch. So don't worry about it too much. As long as it kind of drapes backwards and over, you will have done your shawl correctly. So if this is A, this is B, and this is C, for stitch A, you're going to slip it knitwise, which means you're going to twist it and turn it as you put it from the left needle to the right needle. Then the next B and C, you're going to bark all of those together basically. So you should have 3 strands, and you're going to take your yarn. So see how it's draped over, it's going to make that slip 1 yarn over. Going to wrap it around, bring it through, and those stitches off. So now I have eliminated 2 stitches, and this one I initially slipped, which was A. I'm just going to pick it up with my left hand needle, bring it over this one and off. Okay, so where I had 3 before, now I have 1, and the top of this, the pink here, the stem of it, the loop, leans towards the left at the top. So it's kind of created a little leaf shape at the top. Okay, that is the decrease. Now we've done that one. So we're going to bring yarn to the front, slip 1, purlwise like we normally do. And then we're going to go straight into our bark yarn over bark with this next stitch. So we brought these 2 together. This is the one we're going to increase. And we do that by going into the stitch which completes this shawl stitch back here. We're going to yarn over, bring it through, but not off the needle. Yarn over again, go back into the stitch, yarn over, and then bring it out. And where we had 1, now we have 3. And then we're going to bring it off the left needle. We're going to bring yarn to the front, slip 1, yarn over. And these 2 are the ones we want to eliminate to bring back together again. So these 3 stitches, these 2 pink rows I'm going to bring back together. So this is another brioche left slant decrease. So stitch A, stitch B is kind of hiding here in the middle. There we go. Stitch A, B, and C. Stitch A, you're going to slip knitwise. So you're going to twist it and transfer it from the left to the right needle. You're going to knit the next B and C stitches together. So you want to capture the strand of the shawl stitch and then all those 3 strands together. Bring your yarn around and go ahead and take those off of the needle. All right, and then your stitch A, you're going to just lift that up and transfer it over, drop it off, and now you're left again with a decreased leaf shape. So we've taken 2 away, we've made 2, we've taken 2 away. Now we're going to bring it on home. We're going to bring the yarn to the front, slip 1. This will be our yarn over. And now we want to do 1 more brioche yarn over brioche to increase. So we're going to go into the stitch, yarn around, bring it through, but not off the needle. Make sure to keep the stitch over here on the needle. Yarn over again, go back into the stitch, yarn over a 3rd time, bring it out. Now I have 1, 2, 3. Okay. Bring yarn to the front, slip 1 yarn over, and then the last one we're going to just knit. Okay, that was a lot for 1 row. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense with the rhythm of it. I should still have 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, I'm good. Now we have all these naked stitches. We're going to go back over those with a contrast color, but the shaping is basically there. So I have a leaf shape here. This one is going straight, but it's going to start becoming another leaf shape. Leaf shape I closed here, and this one is going to become another leaf shape here. And then we have our boundary edges. All right, here we go. We're going to do our contrast color. That is contrast color row 5. And this is going to be a purl 1. So I'll make sure my yarn is in the right place. It's in the front. Slip the first stitch, and that's knitwise. And we're going to go straight into a brioche purl. Then I'm going to slip 1 yarn over, bring it back to the front. Brioche purl. Slip 1, wait a minute, did I do that right? Yeah. Slip 1, yarn over, bring back to the front, and then a regular purl. Slip 1, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, brioche purl. Slip 1, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, brioche purl. Slip 1, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, just a regular purl. And slip 1, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, brioche purl. Drop your contrast color and just slip that last stitch. All right, so now we are set up for success. Everything that needs a shawl has a shawl. And should still be 15, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 14, 15. All right, we're doing good. And we turn. And now we're on to row 6, main color row 6. All right, at this rate, I think we might make it to the next one, which is row 9. So we'll see if I can do that. Row 5 and row 9 are very similar. It's just that we'll be expanding the ones that are single tracks and bringing leaps to a close that we just expanded here. That's the main difference between them. Okay, so main color row 6 is a purl row. I'm going to purl. And then slip 1, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, brioche purl. So these next few are just worked like normal rows. Slip 1, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, brioche purl. Slip 1, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, brioche purl. Slip 1, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, brioche purl. Slip 1, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, grab more yarn, and brioche purl. It's chunky stuff, just gets used up fast. Slip 1, yarn over, bring yarn to the front, brioche purl. Slip 1, yarn over, and just a regular purl at the end. Okay, we slide, and now we're ready to use our contrast color. And that one is contrast color row 6, which is going to be a knit row. So we are going to go ahead and slip the first one purlwise. Then we're going to go straight into a brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip 1, yarn over, brioche knit, slip, bring yarn to the front, slip 1, yarn over, brioche knit, bring yarn to the front, slip 1, yarn over, brioche knit, bring yarn to the front, slip 1, yarn over, brioche knit, bring yarn to the front, slip 1, yarn over, brioche knit, bring yarn to the front, slip 1, yarn over, brioche knit, and go ahead and we drop our contrast color to the back and we just slip our last stitch in the main color. All right, rows, main color row 6 and contrast color row 6 are done. So we're ready to turn. Okay, so we can start seeing this form. We had our leaf shapes here and here. And now we have our increases becoming leaves here. So we're just gonna keep building this up so that when we get to row 9, we're able to cinch it back down again. All right, main color row 7 is going to be a knit row. So we're going to knit the first one. Bring yarn to the front, slip 1, and then the yarn over happens as we go into our brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip 1, yarn over happens as we go into the brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip 1 yarn over, brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip 1 yarn over, brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip 1, grab the whole thing, slip 1 yarn over, and you go into your brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip 1 yarn over, go into the brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip 1 yarn over, and then you go into just a knit 1 for the last stitch. Right, and then we slide. Come back over here to the contrast color row, which is going to be a purl. right, so the first stitch we're going to slip just off, so we're preserving the main color on the outsides. Then we're going to go into a brioche purl, slip one, yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl, slip one, yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl, keep going, slip one, yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl, slip one, yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl, slip one, yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl, slip one, yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl, and we go ahead and drop our contrast color and we just slip our last one here. Okay, so rows 7 have been done. Now we have a turn and we go into row 8. After we complete both of the rows 8, main color and contrast color, then we have our another row, main color row 9, where we're going to do the increase decrease. Okay, so this is the back side of the work. So you can see it doesn't match. We don't have leaf shapes on here. Instead, what we have is little rivers that are running. But you can see this is where we expanded to make an increase, another increase. This is where things are kind of pulling together. It's kind of cool. It's like the reverse reflection of what we're doing on the front. That's my reminder. Okay, so main color row 8 is going to be in the pink here, and we are doing a purl. So we are going to purl the first one, and then we're going to slip, yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl, slip one, yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl, slip one, yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl, slip one, yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl, slip one, yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl, get more yarn, slip one, yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl, slip one, yarn over, and then purl the last stitch. Okay. And then we're going to slide. And then our contrast color row 8 is a knit row. Yarn's in the back already, which is good. It's where it should be. And we're going to go ahead and do this first stitch as a slip. Then we're going to go right into our brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one, yarn over, happens when we go into brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one, yarn over, happens brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit. Bring to the front, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit. Bring to the front, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit. Bring to the front, slip one, yarn over, brioche knit. Bring, oh, actually, nope, just leave it in the back. And then we're going to go ahead and slip that last stitch. Okay, here we go. This is going to be main color side. I know that because this is my cast on color and these are the dominant rows here. So I know I'm back on my main color side. These are my little leaf shapes. So now what we're going to do is we're going to, this straight up and down one, we're going to increase that one with a bark yarn over bark, make it into a leaf. This one we're going to pull back together. So it is going to be finished as a leaf and go turn back into a straight row. This one's going to branch out, and these two are going to go back together into a straight row. All right, so we're going to do this with the main color. And this is a knit row. First one I'm going to do is a knit. Okay, and then I'm going to bring the yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, and then I'm going to go into this next one and do an increase, which is the bark yarn over bark. So I'm going to go into the stitch, yarn over, bring it through, yarn over the needle again, go back into the stitch, yarn over a third time, make sure I have 3 here, and then I'm going to pull it off the left needle. So I've got my first 3 stitches. I've got my knit one, my slip one yarn over, and now my bark yarn over bark. Bring yarn to the front, slip that stitch for a yarn over, and then we're going to go right into our decrease across the next 3 stitches. So I've got a shawl stitch, a regular stitch, and then a shawl stitch again. So stitch A, B, and C. This is the A, we're going to slip knitwise, which turns it as we move it from our left needle to our right needle. Then stitch B and C, we're going to knit all 3 of those strands together. So both the normal stitch and the shawl. Okay, we're going to take that off. And now we're going to transfer the first stitch we slipped up and over and off. Okay, so we've got the knit one, slip one yarn over, bark yarn over bark, a slip one yarn over, and then a brioche left slanted decrease. And now we're basically going to do that again. We're going to bring the yarn to the front, slip this stitch. We're going to increase this one, do a bark yarn over bark by going into the stitch, yarn over, bring it through but not off, yarn over again, go back into the stitch, yarn over a third time. So when you pull it out, you should have 3 naked main color stitches. Go ahead and take it off now. So that's our bark yarn over bark. I'm going to bring the yarn to the front, slip this one for a yarn over, slip one yarn over. And then these 3, we're going to decrease again. So we're going to bring this leaf shape back together. So stitch A, B, and C. Stitch A, we're going to slip knitwise, transfer from between stitches. B and C, we're going to knit those together. So there should be 3 strands we catch with our needle, bring our yarn around, complete that stitch. And now the one we initially slipped, we're going to bring it up and over. If I can get the tension right, up and over and off. Okay, so now you have a left leaning decrease right there. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, and then knit this last one. Ooh, okay, well, I'm going to celebrate that by taking a little sip of water, and then we'll look at what we've just done. Okay, so I'm going to do, go ahead and do the contrast color row to finish this up. And then we've still got a few more rows to go before we finish. You can vote if you want to hang in there and have me do the whole thing, or if you're like, no, I'm good, I'm out at the top of the hour. So you can always just let me know in the chat when you're ready. So what we just did is going to increase another leaf here. So we had a leaf, we went back straight, and now we're making another leaf. This one, we started straight, we made a leaf, and now we're going to go straight again. This one was a leaf, went straight, going to be a leaf again. This one started straight, made a leaf, and now it's going to be straight. So that's kind of where we're at in this pattern. So we've made it to about there. So we just cinched these 2 up, and we just set these 2 up to become the next leaves. Okay, so I'm going to go over and set up with my contrast color row 9. And this is going to be a purl row. So we're going to slip that first stitch. We're going to brioche purl this next one. All right, and now I have my naked stitches. So I'm going to slip one, yarn over, just a regular purl for this middle one. And then I'm going to go slip one yarn over. And then I'm going to go next into my brioche purl. Slip one yarn over, brioche purl. And now I've encountered my next 3 naked stitches. The first is going to be a slip one yarn over. The next is a purl, regular purl. Then a slip one yarn over. And I'm going to go into my next brioche purl, a slip one yarn over, and a brioche purl. Go ahead and drop the contrast and slip that last one over. Okay, so main color row 9 has been completed. And the next stuff we have on row, let's see, page 6, we've got 3 more rows of building up. And then the last part is binding off and finishing. And so there's not too much, that's different from here on out than we've done, but I can show you how this works if you want to hang in there with me. We could make this a long class if you want. Let's do that. I bet I can power through it pretty quick, and then you'll have the whole thing to look at. So this is a purl row. This is a knit row, knit, purl, knit, or sorry, purl, and then knit, because it's always knit, purl, purl, knit. And then this one's going to be a knit row. Okay. So we'll do a little bit more building, and then we'll cast off. So the main color row, did we go? Did I miss a step? Did we end on 9? Oh, 10. I misnumbered these. It went from 9 to 11. I think I'll have to fix that and send out a revision so that somebody's like, where did my 10 go? It goes straight to 9 and then over to the 11. But that should work because it's 11, 12, 13. And last time we increased by 1, 2, 3. Yep. All right, I'll make note to make a little typo, changed, should be 10. And I'll resend that out for you guys. Okay, so we're going to be on our contrast color side to start this next row, which on your pattern says 11, but should be 10. All right, and we are going to purl on here. Okay, all right, thanks for anybody who wants to stay. You are welcome to stay. We'll go ahead and finish this out so we'll have a whole recording of it. Okay, we're going to purl the first stitch here. And then we're going to slip one yarn over, bring yarn to the front, brioche purl, slip one yarn over, bring the yarn to the front, and then brioche purl. Caught an extra strand there. Yarns to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche purl, 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 slip one yarn over, and then the last one's just a regular old purl on the boundary stitch there. All right, and then we're gonna slide and do our contrast color. And I'm gonna do a little bit of maintenance here. A couple strands that crossed over. Okay, that feels better. Now we're going to do our contrast color, which is going to be a knit row. So we're going to slip this first one without working it. And then we're going to go straight into a brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Bring to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. And then go ahead and drop to the back and slide this last one over. Okay, and when we turn it back over to the front, we're starting to see our little branches branching out and our single stem kind of going forward where we had finished our last leaves. Onward to what your pattern says is row 12 for the main color. We're still building up here a little bit more. All right, and then we go into the knit row. So we're going to knit our first one. And then bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, and then the next one's just gonna be a regular knit. Okay, then we slide, and then we do our contrast color, row 12 here, which is really 11, which is going to be a purl row. So my yarn's in the front. My first stitch, I'm going to slip, keep that color the same, then go straight into a brioche purl. Slip one yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl. Slip one yarn over, bring the yarn to the front, brioche purl. Slip one yarn over, bring the yarn to the front, brioche purl. Slip one yarn over, bring the yarn to the front, brioche purl. A little bit more yarn. Slip one yarn over, bring the yarn to the front, brioche purl. Slip one yarn over, bring yarn to the front, brioche purl. And drop the color, and then do a slip in the last one. All right. So then one more row of building, or one more pair of rows, and then we'll get to the cast off. So I've turned. My next main color is going to be another purl row. We're on row 13 as far as the pattern goes, which will be changing to 12. And then our first one is going to be a purl, just a regular purl stitch. And then we're going to slip one yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl. Slip one yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl. Get my other stitches ready. Slip one yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl. Slip one yarn over, bring to the front, brioche purl. slip one yarn over, bring to the front brioche purl, slip one yarn over, bring to the front brioche purl, slip one yarn over, and this one's just a regular purl at the end. All right, slide. And then our contrast color is going to be a knit row. So it says row 13, going to be a knit. First thing we do is we're going to slip that first stitch. Okay, and then we're going to go into a brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Slip one yarn over, or sorry, bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Bring yarn to the front, slip one yarn over, brioche knit. Draw off the color and go ahead and slip that last stitch. Okay, now when we turn, we're gonna see, we had a little leaf, a little straight shot here, a little leaf. So on our last row, we're gonna cast off and decrease at the same time. So we're gonna bring these two together as a leaf. This is not going to, it's just gonna be part of the cast off, so we're not gonna see that increase again. Cast off as we bring these two together, and then this one's gonna just be normal like this one. So when you block this, you'll see, there are little leaf shapes, and it'll kind of ease out just a little bit, so it's a little bit more recognizable as a pattern. Well, it looks pretty good on the monitor. All right, we are going to cast off. So we don't have to worry about your contrast color anymore. If you want to, you can go ahead and cut it now. Or if you're like me, I just leave it alone until I'm ready to finish. And then I deal with my ends at the same time. So using the main color now, we're going to knit two. So we're going to start eliminating brioche stitches in order to cast off. And this is a simple cast off that is, it's not the most glamorous one. It's certainly not the most stretchy necessarily, but it's quick. So, so this is a practice thing. We don't have to get too fancy, but every time you have two stitches, you can go ahead and eliminate one. So you work two and then eliminate one and then another one. That's how the cast off really works. So I've got two. Now I'm going to pass the first knitted stitch. I'm going to pick it up and pass it over and off the needle. So now I've just got one on there. Now the next stitch, I'm going to go ahead and reduce down. So close up this leaf shape by doing the brioche left slant decrease. So I've got stitch A, a B, and a C. Stitch A, I'm going to go ahead and slip knitwise. So I'm going to twist it. Then I'm going to knit these two stitches B and C together. Be sure to work pretty loosely on this since we're kind of working across multiple stitches. Okay, and I stabbed my yarn a little. Now I'm going to pass the first slip stitch, which is stitch A, up and over. Okay. So I've done my brioche left slant decrease, and I still have another stitch over here. So what I can do is pass this stitch over that one before progressing to the next in my cast off. So I'm going to pass that stitch over. All right, and you can kind of keep track of your edges, by pinching outwards. Make sure it doesn't cast off too tight. Okay, so the next stitch is going to be a knit one. And then I'm going to pass this first knitted stitch over and off. Now I'm going to go ahead and brioche knit. So I'm not eliminating this one. And pass that stitch over. Keep working my way across. Knit one. Pass that stitch over. Now I'm going to close up this leaf shape. So I've got stitch A, B, and C again. And so I'm going to go ahead and slip my first stitch A knitwise. Then I'm going to knit my stitches B and C together with the shawl stitch. Grab some more yarn. Try to work loosely. Okay, and then I'm going to take my initially slipped A stitch, bring it up and over. So now I've got my completed leaf here, but I still need to get rid of this knit stitch here. So I'm going to pass that one up and over as well. Okay, so next up is going to be a regular knit stitch. Pass stitch over. Then I'm going to bark. Pass the stitch over. I'm going to knit. Pass the stitch over. And one more knit. And then pass that stitch over. Okay. So at this point, you can cut your ends and pull this closed, this loop closed, and then we would weave in our ends. So it's not, didn't quite make 5 inches with this one. It depends on what tension I'm working with, but it's still a square, so that's good. My gauge was pretty darn close. I think this one I might have worked very similarly, so they look like they could match up together on a blanket or something like that. So we have done 2 sets of leaves here, leaf here, leaf here, and we've branched out with the bark yarn over barks, and we've pulled back in with the decreases. So we have made our pattern. That was epic, huh? And on the back side, you'll see the little wavy rivers. When they block out, you can make these a little straighter, but they'll still be a little curvy because of what we did on the front side, you know, where we see on the back is wavy because it's bending around these curves, right? So it's never usually going to be super straight because of what it's doing on the front. All right. So that is intermediate brioche. The right slanted decrease is you still work it in 3 strands like the A, B, and C. You just work it in a different way. So if you were curious or working a pattern that's got the right slanted decrease instead of the left, I did include that extra video that you can reference to see how it works. What you do is you slip, you still slip the first one knitwise, you knit the second one, you pass the slipped one over, and then you pass, like that would have been A, right? So you pass A over C, B, and then you take a C and you pass that one over too. And you have to transfer stitches. So needles for it 3 times, 2 times. So it's a little bit more involved, but it will, unlike this one that goes to the left, it will go to the right. And it'll give you just a little different look. So if you're trying to do shaping, say on a sleeve or like in a sweater or something, you might see why you need like one that goes to the left and one that goes to the right in order to make it kind of an even shape. And a lot of times you can decrease more across more stitches, but again, it's always going to be like, it's usually pretty fancy and it's going to be extreme. So the more stitches you decrease at the same time, the more it's going to bend your fabric, right? So I do have this Rebel shawl I can show you as an example. some increases and decreases. So you can see that this one had baubles too, but we had branches out that I think increased by 4, so 4 or 6. So you can see how it fans out from one single area. And then we did also have, see if there's anything I can show that's a little bit similar. I want to say that we had something in here that was like 8s. It was a lot, and it's sometimes a lot to keep track of too. And then this particular garment, this is the main side, and then this one is the contrast side. So it looks good both ways when you get into super fancy things, but you always want to make your color choices appropriately. So like this one, I wanted brown because I thought it might stand out. This is the Rebel shawl from Knit Graffiti from Leslie Ann Robinson, and it was named after Princess Leia. And so the color of the hair kind of reminded me of her hair color in the first movie. Is very brunette with highlights and everything, very shiny. But I also wanted to have something that would set it off, so I chose the blue, thinking that that would really make a good contrast. It's a little washed out, you can't quite see it, but see if the camera will adjust eventually. Maybe not. So there's a lot of different ways to use the brioche. Once you get into it, it's kind of cool because it is so stretchy and cozy. It does use twice the amount of yarn, right? A little bit more for your main color if you have to do the cast on, cast off, or an edge, something like that. But it just makes a nice thick garment, and it's fun to do. And I hope you end up liking brioche as much as I do. And I hope this class saw you work through the entire kind of sequence of rows. I'll be sure to send out the recording as well as a slightly updated version of the pattern to make sure all those row numbers were right and in sequence. And should you have any questions, feel free to email me. Always love to hear from you. And if you have any pictures of your work or anything you want to share, or questions about patterns to do as a beginner and you don't find something you like on Ravelry, let me know. I'm sure I can suggest something. So I hope you had a good time, and thank you so much for coming, not only to the beginner class, but to the intermediate one. And as far as I know, this is my last class of the year. So you guys got to get in at the very end. And it sure was a pleasure having all of these. So I really appreciate you attending. Thank you guys. I really appreciate you coming. It's been so much fun having them and prepping for it and everything. So I wish you so much success and brioching, and don't be afraid of trying out something that even has a little bit of brioche. It doesn't have to be all brioche all the time. But yeah, have a great evening, and I'll be getting you this recording tomorrow. I'll let Zoom render it, and then we'll send it out so you have it for reference for the rest of the week. Okay.
Thanks, Megan.
Thank you. I hope you have a wonderful evening.
You too. Great class.
Oh,
Really. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Bye now.
Bye.